Hello and welcome again to another episode of the Star Wars Vintage Collection Action Figure Review. And today we'll be looking at none other than the Death Star Droid. Or maybe not. Because the character you see on the card is certainly not the Death Star Droid. So Kenner made a mistake when it made this figure. So this figure is actually a figure of a droid called RA7, or the long term of it is 3B6-RA7. And this is one of the droids that you see inside the Jawa Sandcrawler when R2 and C-3PO were captured by the Jawas. So the Death Star droid is really, if you're looking at the droids in front, there's the black droid, because you'll see it in a shot in the movie when Han, Chewie, and Luke are going to the detention center, and they're going to take an elevator to the detention center, and a Death Star droid actually walks past. But if you blinked, you might have missed it. This is Kenner's version of that figure, but it's really RA7, but they're the same model number as the Death Star droid. So it's really interesting that Kenner would make this mistake and not fix it. So we'll take a look at them from the oldest to the newest, and obviously this first one is the original Death Star droid from 1978-79. The thing I like about this droid, it's got the vac metallization, so it has that shiny look, but the articulation is very limited because of it, but it gives it a nice look. It looks just like the figure on the card back. The sculpt is pretty decent for that time, but it's really not the greatest of action figures. Even when I was a kid, I didn't really care for it. Let's take a look at the next one. So the next one came out 1999, and this is much more like what it's supposed to be in the film. And this droid has 5 points of articulations, arms and legs. It's got a waist that moves and the head turns. And this, once again, has vac metallization, gives it that nice shiny black look, which is really nice. Not a bad figure, especially for something that just walks across the screen for 2 seconds and it's gone. But once again, play value not so great on these older ones, but it's not a bad likeness or sculpt. It's just that I don't even know why they made this figure, because for something that just literally, if you blinked, you missed it. So now these two are the more modern ones. This one here is from the 2012 3-pack, the Droids 3-pack. And I used the Gonk Droid in another video about the Power Droid. But this is a much nicer figure. The articulation is much better. Look, you have the insert joints on the legs. I don't like the arm. It's got the swivel. And I'm gonna look, and you can see a lot of the detail, which is pretty good. Same with the back. Detail is very good. The thing I don't like about this figure is the arms are not insert joints. They're like swivel, which sucks. And you can only move them up at a certain point. You have to swivel it to that point, and then you can do it this way too. It's very annoying. And why would they do this, especially when they've been making all these great droids like the C-3PO with the insert joints on the elbows? Like, why? This is just a waste. But it's obviously a better version of this figure. And I think, honestly, if this is the definitive version, I'm not going to say it is. Even the next one, which is the exact same figure, that's the one you see on the card. This is Vintage Collection 197. This came out in 2021. And this is what makes me sad about it. It's not that long ago, and it's a straight repack. They didn't do much. This is still one of those swivel arms I mean, it's got the, the insert joints on the legs, which look great. It's got a great, articulation as far as the waist is concerned. You can bend them up and back, and the head turns. It's not even a ball joint head, which is another problem. But it's better, and the deco, the paint job is much better. It gives it that like Star Wars look. It's like dirty, grimy. So if I'm gonna say this is the definitive version, I'm not saying I like it as a definitive version, but as for what they have out, this is the definitive version. Just from the deco alone, it's the same thing as the other one. I wish they would do what they did with the 3PO and make a better version of this. So this is not a definitive version, in my opinion, and hopefully Hasbro/Disney will get to it and make a good one like they did with the 3PO. So that's it for the Death Star droid, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to giving you some more. See you next time. Don't remember to hit like and subscribe, and I can't wait to show you the next video.